I would like to have a little information.
Let's see, you only have this one train right here.
Syracuse 345, track number 24.
348, thank you very much.
Next one is 310, downstairs, track 104.
Bronxville is 330 on the lower level, track 107.
Subway information is on the other side of this booth.
Have you seen Annabelle? I expected her to meet me at the station.
I don't know Annabelle.
Well, she's a girl with a dashing way. She is dressed very smart and gay.
Would you mind introducing us? What a time we'd have in my cabriolet.
Listen, ladies, to my soulful intonation.
Paging Miss Annabelle.
He'll be followed by a lovely aggregation when they ring that engine bell.
Take me with you, no me, no me, no me, 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 me.
Pardon me, sir, but what is your destination?
Just a nice padded cell.
Cloud, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Chicago, and all northwest. Maybe on track 26.
Over the river and Cheerio, my dear, here's where my journey starts. There's a teardrop glistening in your heart of hearts. Over the river and here I go, my dear, stifle your sobs and moans.
Sir, it's time your train is pulling from the station.
Fare thee well, Annabelle.
When do we go on that honeymoon vacation?
Maybe soon, but who can tell?
Well, suppose, my dear, that while I am waiting here, I should fall for someone swell.
Did you say that you can buy a reservation? Get on board, Annabelle.
A train! A train!
As a bullet seeks its target, shining rails in every part of our great country are aimed at Grand Central Station, heart of the nation's greatest city. Drawn by the magnetic force of the fantastic metropolis, day and night great trains rush toward the Hudson River. Sweep down its eastern bank for 140 miles. Flash briefly with Ormond Road Cinnamon House south of 125th Street. Dive with a roar into the 2.5 mile tunnel which follows the glittering flank of Park Avenue. And then, Grand Central Station. Crossroads of a million private lives. Gigantic stage in which are played 1,000 dramas daily.
Goodbye, sweetheart.
Aren't you coming into the station with us?
Oh, I'm sorry I can't. I'm late for a business appointment already.
Did you ever have a vacation?
Oh, yes, Missy. Lots and lots of them.
Are they fun?
Yeah, if you don't have too many of them.
I'll bet they're more fun than going to school. I never had a vacation. But I'm thinking about having one.
All right, little Missy, you just wait right here till I come back.
The station, as he entered it, was murmurous with the immense and distant sound of time. Great slant beams of moted light fell ponderously athwart the station floor. And the calm voice of time hovered along the walls and ceiling of that mighty room, distilled out of the voices and movements of the people who swarmed beneath. It had the murmur of a distant sea, the languorous lapse and flow of waters on a beach. It was elemental, detached, indifferent to the lives of men. Few buildings are vast enough to hold the sound of time. And now it seemed to him that there was a superb fitness in the fact that the one which held it better than all others should be a railroad station. For here, there's nowhere else on earth. Men were brought together for a moment at the beginning or end of their innumerable journeys. Here, one saw their greetings and farewells. Here, in a single instant, one got the entire picture of the human destiny. Men came and went, they passed and vanished, and all were moving through the moments of their lives to death. All made small tickings in the sound of time, but the voice of time remained aloof and unperturbed, a drowsy and eternal murmur below the immense and distant roof.
In America in the 19th and early 20th centuries, the most important building in any city was the railroad station. It was the equivalent of a cathedral in some town in Europe. The bigger the railroad station, the better the town. It was as simple and satisfactory as that.
I am now entering probably the most important, most monumental, most beautiful of any building in America. We're standing in one of the great rooms of the world. There isn't anything like it in this country. There's no place where we get the feeling of release that we do in this room. In this room, you've got height to be free, but you have the curves of this great vault that pulls you down and around you again. They knew more about functionalism than all the modern architects put together. They knew more about stone. They knew more about people movement. There's 10 times the number of people that used this station that did when it was built. We never light rooms like this anymore. You realize there's one bulb in between every modillion in the cornice. Those modillions, that's what comes out to hold up the cornice. But there's a little bulb in each one. It's the best lighting system in the world. They knew that then. And the camera's now looking over my shoulder at the greatest window in the world. You realize that window is also a passage that people walk across back and forth. They don't open to the public anymore, I'm sorry, but when I was young, they did. And I used to walk back and forth across there, and you look out over the city on one side and over the great room on the other. It's like walking through the gallery of St. Peter's in Rome. This is the only building in this country where you can do this. That's why it's so great that we've been able to save it for the future, because we can no longer build this way.
This is Action News, Sunday, April 16. I'm Steve Bach.
WABC-TV, New York.
From New York's award-winning news station.
This is the CBS Evening News with Ed Bradley.
There was a train out of New York this morning headed for Washington, but it wasn't on the regular schedule. This was a train filled with people who have a cause and an issue which could have far-reaching effects on cities across this country. David Culhane has a report.
The specific issue is whether to build a 55-story skyscraper over Grand Central Station. The city has blocked the new structure for 10 years. But tomorrow, for the first time, the constitutionality of the city's landmark law will come before the Supreme Court.
We're trying to save Grand Central Station because all landmarks are threatened if this one goes.
From coast to coast, there are great buildings, not as great as Grand Central, but of the same order of greatness in the communities in which they exist. And we have to save all these buildings. And the American people really care now about preserving the fabric of the past.
We have won. Isn't it marvelous that the good people win occasionally? And hopefully we'll win before the United States Supreme Court as well.
And in 1978, the United States Supreme Court, in a landmark decision, Mr. Justice Brennan, I think, wrote the majority decision, said landmarks had to be protected. And if this landmark would be destroyed because a landmarks law was not valid, then landmarks throughout the United States could never be saved.
It's the only thing we've got. We have no cathedrals of this size. We haven't got Chartres Cathedral. We haven't got St. Peter's. But we have got this sense of travel. In my youth, when I still remember, when you walked right in the street, right off to the station, right straight through, and enjoying this great room was the invitation to travel, where you could go across the continent if you wanted to. But the sense of departure, or the sense of arrival, when you came from Chicago, this is New York.
Now that we have had the rice and flowers, the knot is tied. I can visualize such happy hours right by your side.
The honeymoon store is one that you'll adore. I'm going to take you for a ride.